power blue and power pink are paired together. And if you're not aware of it, power pink is a deep cycle indicator, and we refer to both the power pink and the power blue as both deep cycle indicators. We also refer to them as the short cycle indicator. Swing gray is your best deep cycle indicator to really pick the peak of the high cycle and the bottom of the low cycle. But when you're trading, it's also advantageous to grab a hold of those pullbacks or rallies and this type of thing within the normal trend that's taking place in the market. And so power pink and power blue run together, and the vast majority of the time power pink is above power blue, both on high cycles and on low cycles. And when you typically we exclude power red when we say that power pink is highest or power pink is lowest. And we do that with a variety of other things. For example, if we say we use, let me back up. We use power red, we exclude power red because power red moves so much faster and greater in line length than the other power indicators. Keep in mind, power red, when it crosses over 0, you're starting into an uptrend. When it crosses under 0, you're starting into a downtrend. When it does cross over or under 0, you usually get a nice big candle in that direction. All power lines, the pink, blue, white, and yellow are the power 4. If you eliminate the yellow, you have the power 3. If you add the power Zion, you have the power 5. And we think of the power 6 with red and as with red and the power 5. But the power, all of the power lines, when they're above 0, have a tendency to move price up, and when under 0, have a tendency to move price down. This holds true as well with the long-term, I want to say the long-term lines, the long-term average lines of the power chart. That would be power green and power orange, as it would with the other 3 groups of the short-term trend lines. The 3 groups of the short-term trend lines are your swing trio with your yellow, pink, blue, your power orange and green, and the 3rd group is your swing red and green. Those 3 groups are they're drawn in as wide lines on the master platform chart. We draw them wide specifically so that we think of the theme. Wide lines are slower, and fast lines are fast, and narrow lines are faster. You have the option of drawing them in at any width that you want. Obviously, you can't change the colors. They're attached to the functions of each line. But those power lines above or under 0, or above or under orange, we use the power orange as the indicating line because it's the slowest of the 3. We talk about the power orange when we're talking about divergence in the 3 gap patterns. For example, when the proximity group, the power 4 is above power orange and the power Zion is under power orange. That's a divergent condition. When Zion is down and the power 4 is up, that's a directional divergent condition. And so when we, now having explained all of that, when we are with power blue, in this particular case on the vertical green line down here in the power chart, we have power blue is highest. We very seldom see power blue highest, and typically when we do, it's indicative of something that might happen, and it's usually it goes down the next day. But like everything else, it also usually has conditions that will tell you, or signals that will tell you that the price is going to go down next day. In this example here in the trend chart, we have trend gray that's in a low angle up pattern, and that low angle up is right there, is a signal that tells us that prices are going to go down the next day. It is, trend gray is also highest, which makes it stronger in its ability to give us information for price direction. So it's likely to be going down next day. We also have diff divergence, D-I-F-F, that's a difference, stands for difference, and we refer to it as diff divergence. In other words, trend gray the day before the green vertical line was at 33. On the green vertical line day, trend gray was at 36. So we had a difference of 3 points. Trend gray the day before, or excuse me, trend red the day before was at 6. Trend red on the vertical green line day is at 31. So you can see that it went up over 5 times, and its own location, and of course trend gray went up 3 points and trend red went up 25 points. So that was, if you calculate the difference, the trend red went up 8 times what trend gray went up. When you have those high diff determining factors, you can call them divergence, you can call them difference in line lengths, however you want to look at it, it's still a recognizable identification of something happening, of some strong reaction typically happening. And in this case here, we get a real nice gap down next day. Now, that is one indication of a divergent condition. We also have over in the swing chart, Zip Zion up and Zip Pink down. Zip Zion is your price barometer along with Zip Pink and the 3 price lines. You have 5 price barometers, and they track the price. That's what they do. They track the price. If it goes up, they go up. If it goes down, they go down. 99.9% of the time you will see every one of those lines in the same position, either up or down. Very seldom, I mean, I can't even think of an example when they have been different from one another. They each have different codes, but that doesn't mean that they're not always, maybe you might have one that would be just barely down and all the rest would be up. I haven't seen it, but it might happen. That is the swing Zion up and the swing pink down is a divergent condition. Swing pink being the leading indicator tells us that price is going down because the line is going down. Swing gray tells us that the price is going up because the price did gap up on the vertical green line day here, as we obviously can see. Power red and green are in a low angle up, which both tell us that they're going down the next day. It doesn't tell us we're going to have a gap, but we do have, right now we've identified 2 pieces of divergent information, and 2 is pretty much all you need to recognize some divergent conditions in a next day down. And when power blue is highest, it's also, you can throw power blue highest in a scanner and it'll punch out all of the stocks that have power blue highest. And when you find power blue highest and you have with it supporting information, or in other words good conditions, like a couple of divergent situations, the divergence that we found between the trend red and trend gray, and the divergent conditions we found between swing Zion and swing pink, that is a really strong indication that it's going to be a strong down movement. And hence, when you get, right now you got on the vertical green line day, you've got your fourth green candle. And you're also butting up against the 20 moving average, the green vertical line, and of course the 100 moving average is not too far above that, although I don't think that's an influence on this right now. The next thing that I want to point out is over here in the zip chart. When you normally have zip green at 100, let's back up. When one of the patterns is called a pink green top, and this is zip green at 100, and zip pink at is just under 100 and next to green. There's no other lines in between it. And in this case here, I'm not sure actually what happens. Zip green is at 100, zip pink is at 93, and zip red is at 94. So actually zip red is in between pink and green. Doesn't happen very often, but in this case it does. When you have a normal condition of a pink-green top, you normally have pink-green at 100. I said that wrong. You normally have zip green at 100, and pink green will continually be going up 1, 2, 3, 4 days while zip green is at 100. Then when it goes down, you have signals like, for example, zip red and zip yellow are going down. Zip red, yellow, blue, and gray can all be going down, and zip green can be at 100, and zip pink can be right next to it, right next to zip green. And that's a signal day for next day down. When the red, gray, blue, and green, when the red, gray, blue, and yellow go down. Now, in this case here, we have a pinpoint zip green at 100 on the vertical green line day in the zip chart. We also have zip pink going up, which is indicative of the pink-green pattern, but we're on the first day of zip green hitting 100, and that can, and because we have the signal of, in this case, zip red and gray both going down, that's the signal to go down the next day when you have a pink-green top. Now this is a pinpoint green top, but it follows the same, or it has or can have the same signals. In this case, the signal on the vertical green line day of the pink-green top, because remember, when zip green hits 100 and zip green is and zip pink is under it, you are technically in a pink-green top. Although this is they're so close. Pink is at 93 and red is at 94. Gray is at 95. There's another example. When gray is higher than red, it typically goes down the next day. But in any case, on the vertical green line day, we have the mixture of ideas of the pink-green top that are really in a pinpoint green top with red and gray going down, giving us the signal that next day it's going to be down. So this is not a divergent condition here in the zip chart, but it is a condition for a pink-green top signal that next day it's going to go down. And it's actually what we refer to as a pattern divergent, or a pattern example telling us that things are going to go down. So although we may have found this opportunity when the scanner spit out pink, blue, highest, I said that wrong, power blue highest, the verification of the trend gray and red divergence and the verification of the swing Zion and pink divergence, especially with zip pink going down, that's a leading indicator telling us the price direction is going down next day, because it is, swing pink is probably your best leading indicator on the entire system, within the entire system. It'll move first before others will move. Swing pink and swing pink and zip red are the two quickest lines of the entire system. But zip red has line length movement, has great line length movement. You can see zip red go from 4 to 95 in the same day. Start out at 4 and go to 95. Now on that same day, zip pink will barely move 1 point. It's obviously got a different set of scales, but there's just a tremendous difference in line length, just visually when you're looking at the two charts as well. So those are the ideas behind what we see with on a peak with power blue highest. Obviously it's not going to be always there, but also obviously we always look at the good conditions or the supporting conditions along with whatever drew us to the opportunity. Because you could have found this as well just by plugging in on the scanner, swing Zion up and swing pink down. That would be a divergent condition, and it would spit that out on the scanner. And so when and then if you found it as a swing pink down and a swing Zion up, and then you looked around and then you'd find the trend gray and red in divergence, you'd find the zip chart having the pink green pattern conditions, and then you'd find, if you looked closely, the power blue highest, and all of those would be supporting your swing Zion and pink divergent condition. And so it's just a culmination of additional patterns that we see and we identify that cause our gaps. In this case here, there were legitimately, what I would refer to as only two divergent conditions that caused the gap down. But there were a lot of other supporting things. We have what we refer to as a double pattern or a double condition. Remember when the trend gray only moved 3 points and the trend red moved 30 or 25 points? Also on with those same two lines, trend gray was in a low angle up. That 3 points higher was that low angle up. So it had the low angle up signal and it had the diff divergence signal. So that's a double signal in one indicator arrangement. When you find those are powerful as well, or typically as powerful, or good, strong indications of what's going to happen. So that's it for this video.